Ladies and gentlemen, Lord Mayor of Westminster.
Well, good evening, everybody, and isn't it wonderful to be here to celebrate Agatha Christie? I don't know how old you were when you first took up a Christie novel, but I was allowed to take one from the senior library when I still had a junior library ticket, and that was very, very exciting. And like so many here today, we've come to celebrate the joy and the terror which she has brought us in equal measure. And it's a very great privilege for me to be one of the two participants who are going to draw down that curtain shortly and show you what a wonderful, wonderful statue we have hidden behind it. So thank you so much for being here today. It's great joy that we're going to be able to do this. So Matthew, is it over to you?
Lord Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope Agatha Christie fans. We are gathered here in the middle of Theatreland to celebrate the life and work of Agatha Christie, who was my grandmother, probably the most popular author and playwright of the 20th century. And dare I say, Lord Mayor, a person well worthy to grace your streets in the city of Westminster. We are going to celebrate that in a moment by unveiling a memorial to her. If she was most famous, particularly in this part of London, for her play The Mousetrap, just up the road, she is remembered and loved literally all over the world for over 80 books and a dozen plays. I may be biased, which obviously I am, but I cannot think of a person in the entertainment world who inspired such affection. As always on these occasions and these intricate projects, there are an important list of people to thank, and I apologize in advance if I leave anybody out, but it has been a huge cooperative effort between a large number of people. First of all, the Lord Mayor of Westminster, coupled with Councillor Robert Davis, who's somewhere behind me, and all their colleagues on Westminster City Council. We couldn't have done without them. To put it legally, we need their permission, but we've had a lot more help than that, I can promise you. It has been a joy to work with them all, and they have done things sometimes in a lot less time than probably we need. So we're really very grateful to you both and all your colleagues. Next, I'd like to thank my co-conspirator, Stephen Waley-Cohen and Mousetrap Productions, together with my colleagues on my family charitable trust, the Colwinston Charitable Trust, and the governors and workers of Atlantic College in Wales, who have between them provided the lion's share of the funding. Stephen and I have had our moments on this project, but on the whole it has gone extremely well, and it certainly would never have happened without Stephen, who's provided huge administrative backup, enthusiasm and determination, as those of you who know him is his wont. So thank you, Stephen, and everybody else. As you can imagine, apart from Westminster City Council, we had a large team of workers headed by Tony Dyson, our architect. It may look simple now, but it's got paving round it. Those of you who live or work in the area will know that until last Thursday morning, all there was a huge hole. We've needed a big team of people under Tony to transform what used to be a pavement into a hole and back again to a tidy piece of pavement with something on top of it. Peter Lung from West 1 Karim and Abdi and the structural engineer Richard Futrell have all been extremely helpful and worked very hard. Perhaps a special mention should go to the foundry, Mark Kennedy and Sue Triplow, who I hope are here somewhere, I haven't seen them, and all the workers in the Bronze Age foundry. It may, once again, when we've unveiled the sculpture, it may look simple, but my goodness it wasn't. There is a huge amount of detail on it, and it was a very intricate and complicated thing to do. And they've worked tremendously hard down in East London to get it done. Last, but by no means least, I want to say a few words about the artist Ben Twiston-Davies. He is, those of you who know him, 6'8" tall. He needs to be, as you can see. He has done a tremendous job of work in about 10 months to get all this done. He has imbibed all sorts of advice, not all of which agreed with each other, as to what various people wanted on the sculpture. And I think that what you will see is a huge tribute to him, to his imagination and to his hard work, and I would really like to thank him from the bottom of my heart. And I would also like to offer my thanks to his wife Rebecca, who has virtually lost a husband for the last 10 months, and I'm terribly afraid that he spent more time with my grandmother than he did with her. But it has been... Where is Ben? Yeah? Oh. There he is. That, I think, is the list of people I want to thank. I'd just like to say a couple more sentences about my grandmother. I think if she was sitting here, she would be amazed that such a thing could happen. But I hope very much that she would have been pleased. She was, as those of you who knew her know, a huge fan of the theatre. She really loved the theatre. You should have seen her at rehearsals, not only for the Mousetrap, but the other great plays that graced this great part of the world. She loved being with the actors and the actresses and the producers and the directors. She loved doing battle with them, to pit her wits against theirs. And I think to have a memorial to her in this particular part of London would have pleased her, shy as she was. Most of all, perhaps, she would like to be here because this is a major thoroughfare for many people who would be her fans. And I very much hope, Lord Mayor, as the years go by, that this will become a meeting point for all those of you who wish to meet and honour my grandmother in whatever way you see fit. That, I suppose, is my chief wish. And I think when you see the sculpture, you will realise that it is a solid piece of work, and I can assure you it will outlast anybody who is standing around this evening. So there we are. That is all I have to say, really. Being a member of the family, my last words are of my grandmother, and I'd like to ask the Lord Mayor to join me, hoping not to fall over the step, and see if we can get the tarpaulin off. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you, Matthew, and thank you, Lord Mayor. Tonight we are also celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Mousetrap, Agatha Christie's most famous play, and we're doing it by having a very special gala performance. Once only 8 star actors, and I'm going to ask them to join Mathew and the Lord Mayor for a photograph before we all go and look more closely at the sculpture.
Some on either side would be great.
I consider that a compliment.
Can you squeeze in a bit, please?
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Jack. Thanks,
Yeah, well, he's had his photograph taken.
When I was asked to make a memorial to Agatha Christie, one of the first things was the constraints of the location, that we couldn't have a sculpture with things flying off it. And in a way I took a very logical approach, because if I took too much of a personal approach to something which is in a way public property, which is this huge cultural phenomenon which is Agatha Christie, I thought it wouldn't be a success. And so I tried to think logically, and the most logical thing for the world's best-selling novelist is a huge book, and that worked both conceptually but also technically as a sculptural form, and gave the opportunity for all the relief sculpture on the surface of the book, as on the leather book, to become relevant to Agatha Christie. But the idea developed very happily because all those pieces of relief sculpture were like clues. And then we have Agatha Christie inside her book, inside the pages, as indeed a writer is.
I think the sculpture is absolutely perfect, and I think that if Agatha Christie were to choose a sculpture of herself, that this would have been very much what she wanted, because it's a traditional book, which is, after all, what she wrote. Then there she is in cameo at the heart of a book, and there's a film at the top and TV at the bottom, and it's all about how her fabulous stories continue to be born again in so many different media. And it says everything about her success, because although around the bottom of the sculpture are the spines of many of her books, she wrote too many to be able to include them. And what I really love about it is the fact that they are in a variety of languages, not just in English, because it says how many languages, just how many people around the world have read her books.
Well, I think the sculpture is a wonderful likeness of my grandmother, Agatha Christie, and it has all sorts of information on it about her life, her work, some titles of her books, and it has 2 wonderful pictures of her and a little picture of a mousetrap at the top of it. And I hope very much it will be a meeting point for all Agatha Christie fans whenever they come to London and want to talk and go to see her work or read her books.